because I'm sure you don't get enough of it in your day-to-day life. We are going to talk politics briefly on this episode, but it's going to be as apolitical conversation as possible. Thanks for joining us here on Aspire to Retire with Ralph Short, Tim Short, and Scott Earhart of Welcome Home Financial Partners. WelcomeHomeFP.com is the website. The link's right there in the podcast description. Just open it up, take you right there, find out more about the team, see the guys, see their handsome faces, find out more about the First Friday events, and begin that second opinion process or that retirement roadmap process. WelcomeHomeFP.com. My name is Chris Swan, and I'm pleased to be joined, as always, by Ralph Short, Tim Short, and Scott Earhart. Gentlemen, how you doing?
Good. Great. How are you, boss?
Chris?
Doing really well. So politics is something that is taboo in conversation. You don't talk politics, you don't talk finances. We're actually going to go ahead and tackle both of them right now, but I feel it is important as it pertains to anyone listening out there in their retirement, because we're going to talk about the Fed. At the beginning of the year, the Fed was looking at 6 interest rate cuts. Now it is penciled in just one, along with more for next year. And Fox Business asked New York Fed President John Williams that if the cuts come in September, wouldn't that be considered a political move? Because after all, there is an election coming up, and here's what he said.
To me, the most important thing to do is to get the decision right to achieve our goals that we have of maximum employment and price stability. I've been in the Fed nearly 30 years, and throughout that time, what I've seen my colleagues do is really focus on our job, do the best analysis we can, and make the best decisions we can for the American economy. We just have to stay on that, ignore the politics and all that, focus on getting our job done. That's what we need to do in order to be successful.
So ignoring the politics is probably a tricky thing to do, especially as you head into an election year. You guys mentioned on a previous episode, people are calling up and they're nervous because of the uncertainty regarding this election, and that probably happens every 4 years. But let's talk about right now, regardless of how the move is going to happen, we're looking at higher interest rates for longer. So with that in mind, is it premature to take money out of fixed income products until there's evidence that the rates are actually going to be going down?
So I love this question because it's a real world question. It's something that we are working with daily. And look, the Fed is going to do whatever the Fed is going to do. And we need to understand that we have no control over that. What happens at the Fed level to Wall Street, that doesn't necessarily equate to what happens to us here on Main Street and our clients on Main Street. We live, work, and play, as do our clients, on Main Street, not on Wall Street, not, on any federal street level. As far as leaving fixed income assets right now, that really depends on the client. I mean, could it be a good time, no matter where the interest rates are? If a client needs to make a move, we're going to assist them in making that move. If a client wants to enter into fixed income asset classes now and it works for them and it works for their retirement plan and it is good for the client, then absolutely we're going to do it. What the Fed does, whatever's going to happen in November, that doesn't have an effect on how we will help our clients. We are going to do whatever's best for them and in their best interests at all time. And if you're in this business, that's the only way it should operate.
Well, what I would also say is it depends on what that client has, because if he has a fixed interest product that is paying a CD, a 5-year CD, and it was started back in, say, 2022, he's probably only earning less than 1%. Mm-hmm. Now he can probably get a little bit more, so it might make some sense to make some moves. But if he's got a 5% today, I don't know if you want to move, but it all depends on what that client's trying to do, when he needs the money. And I would also say it doesn't matter if you believe that politicians are there to help us. I think you better think again, because they're there to help themselves. But it all depends on that individual themselves and what they're trying to do, what they have, as to whether they need to move any money or whether to get in the market or get out of the market or whatever. It has to be determined by what they're trying to accomplish.
Yeah, and I love the phrase "ignore politics." I wish we could all just ignore politics a little bit more, because this year's been crazy. It's only going to get crazier. I think the biggest thing with this is, you're right. I think it's going to be a political move with the rate cuts if they try to do it in September, but who knows if they're going to do it or not. The biggest issue is that when you're trying to move money from the fixed income and going back into the market, you're trying to time the market, and that could always come back to bite you, right? So you've got to focus on the time in the market, not actual timing the market, because everybody's going to make a mistake when it comes to the market. You've got to be patient with that money. If you're making a decent return in the fixed income, why move it now, right? So everybody's going to be a little bit different. Once again, it's all about that individual and what they need, what they want, what their desires are.
And if your dollars are in fixed income and you're actually using those dollars for income, is it a good idea to move it into a riskier position where it could then affect your income? I mean, we talk a lot about retirement roadmap, about retirement being about the income generated, not about amassing a massive number that you can't efficiently turn into income to live your retirement years. So, I mean, like Ralph said, like everybody said around this table, it depends on the individual, depends on their situation. But there's a lot of people that have something that would be considered a fixed income asset that they are actually using it for income. Why would you tinker with that if we can, guarantee that income for your life or for a certain period of time and not put it at risk of ups and downs of markets?
Chasing the returns sometimes can lead to not pleasant returns for you later down the road. The other thing I would say is, yes, your neighbor next door, down the road, or your coworker, oh man, I've made 42% this past year. He forgot to tell you lost 82% the year before that, So you just have to adjust everything that you hear.
And I think that's a great point, just because, and John Williams is a very smart man, and he was on, Fox or wherever he was interviewed, because these people are out there that are smart people and on television and on national programming. That doesn't mean they understand you and they understand your situation and where you're at. That's why I use the Main Street analogy all the time. Just because it's said on television by somebody that, is ringing bells and whistles and buzzers doesn't mean it's right for you in your situation.
And I would also say that to a lot of my clients, when I talk to them, I said, numbers don't lie, but liars use numbers. So just because you lost 50% today and you gain 50% tomorrow, you're not at the same point. No. And that's what people don't seem to understand. So we kind of go through some of those analogies just to make people, Main Street philosophy, whatever you want to call it, you have to understand how all this financial garbly is going to help you in your situation.
Is the gargly goop the technical term?
It is in my book.
Okay.
That's the dinosaur term.
I love it. We are in a global economy and we are in a national economy, but at the end of the day, you want to focus on a more micro level than look at the bigger picture. You want to figure out how things are going to affect your economy, your personal economy, not even your neighbors. We talk about keeping up with the Joneses often here on the show, and to put it in very simplest terms, don't do that. Because the 42% return that your neighbor may be getting, that's not going to do anything for you. You want to make sure that you are taken care of, that you've got your monthly expenditures taken care of. You've got guaranteed income coming in that's taking care of that. That is fantastic, because here's the thing. In a down market, the power company, the grocery store, the bank note you may have, they don't care that the market is down. They still need to be paid. So you don't want to kill the proverbial goose that's laying the golden egg if you've got one of those things. But being able to pivot as it pertains to you, look, the guys at Welcome Home Financial Partners, they are agnostic to their approach. They want to make sure that your retirement is what you want it to be, how it is your plans, your desires, and making sure that your retirement gets to be as enjoyable as possible. It starts with that planning process. Actually, it starts with that second opinion, because you've been in the accumulation phase. Now you have to figure out how to pivot into that distribution phase. Maybe there are some changes that need to be made. Maybe you're in good shape. Either way, you really don't know until you sit down and you speak with someone to give you that second opinion, somebody other than the person who gave you the initial opinion, right? Obviously, you're not gonna get a differing answer or a second set of eyes on there. So you want to make sure that you have that second opinion, see where you are, see if changes need to be made, and if they do, that's what the planning process is all about. WelcomeHomeFP.com is the website, how you reach out. Maybe it is a situation right now where you take advantage of the interest rates. Don't take out a loan from the bank or anything like that. That's probably not taking advantage of that. But I figure out how to make it work for you, get you to, through, and beyond retirement. WelcomeHomeFP.com is the website. It's right there in the podcast description. We appreciate you joining us, as we always do, here on Aspire to Retire with Ralph Short, Tim Short, and Scott Earhart. Hope you guys have a great day. Gentlemen, hope you have a great day as well. Thanks so much. As we wrap up here, I want to give you the final word.
Thank you, Chris. Hope you have a great day as well.
Thank you.
So anybody who's listening to the podcast right now, being in the election year, we get a lot of phone calls about folks being concerned, scared, nervous, what have you. If you're one of those folks, give us a call. We'd love the opportunity to sit down with you in the office and, help you out, put some of those scares or worries at ease, because it is kind of a unnerving time. So once again, we want to take time to thank everybody for listening and have a great day.
All content is for information purposes only. It is not intended to provide any tax or legal advice or provide the basis for any financial decision, nor is it intended to be a projection of current or future performance or indication or future results. Opinions expressed herein are solely those of Welcome Home Financial Partners and Welcome Home Wealth Advisors, LLC. The information contained in this material has been derived from sources believed to be reliable, but is not guaranteed as to accuracy and completeness and does not purport to a complete analysis of the materials discussed. All information and ideas should be discussed in detail with your individual advisor prior to the implementation. Each individual investor's situation is different, and any ideas provided may not be appropriate for your particular circumstance. Advisor services are offered by Welcome Home Wealth Advisors, LLC, a registered investment advisor in the state of Virginia. Being registered as an investment advisor does not imply a certain level of skill or training. Insurance products and services are offered through WPI Holding, Virginia Insurance License Number 138509, an affiliated company. The information contained herein should in no way be construed or interpreted as a solicitation to sell or offer to sell advisory services to any resident of any state other than the state of Virginia or where otherwise legally permitted. Welcome Home Wealth Advisors, LLC, and Welcome Home Financial Partners are not affiliated with or endorsed by the Social Security Administration or any government agency.